Hey everyone, it's Andrea Vall, and I am here with the fabulous Bri Seeley and her cat. It's the joys of being at home. We get to work with our pets, right? My cats might be in here later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Welcome. And Bri Seeley is an entrepreneur coach, award-winning entrepreneur coach. She's done a TEDx talk. She's got a podcast. She helps women entrepreneurs go from wages to wealth. And I am excited to dive into talking about how we can set up how we can activate our profitable year, because that is what I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds as we're starting 2023. I know it's mine. 2022 for me wasn't so profitable. So let's get to the profits this year. So
Yeah,
welcome.
absolutely.
Welcome, Bri.
Hello. So good to see you.
Yeah, awesome. And we haven't connected online, but I know we have a ton of mutual people. It's always fun for me when I discover someone new, and then I'm like, oh my God, they know like all the people I know, and like how have we not connected yet? So so really cool to have you in here. And would love to just talk about like kind of start out talking about your journey, because I love your story about how your first 7 years was kind of a struggle in your business, and then things really shifted and flipped for you. And what I thought was really interesting was that something you had on your site, that 88% of women businesses don't go over that six-figure mark, which was shocking to me. That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. It's a statistic, honestly, that keeps me getting up every morning, minus this one. She also keeps me getting up every morning.
Yeah.
But that statistic really is what, in the last 8 years, going on 9 years of this business, I can't tell you how many times I have wanted to quit.
Yeah.
And when I think about the thousands of women out there trying to run businesses, last year I had conversations with 2 different women who've been running their businesses. One of them had been running her business for 10 years and had never had a single paying client in 10 years.
What?
Like,
That doesn't even, that's, yeah.
well, and then we're out there not only running businesses that aren't making money, we're running businesses and not getting help. We're not
Right.
hiring people to help co-manage the business with us so that we can be
Right.
out doing revenue generating activities. Like,
Right.
I think that a lot of women for a long time have seen their businesses as kind of like hobbies, right?
Right.
All
Right.
these narratives out there for the last several centuries
Mm-hmm.
that women aren't the money makers.
Right.
And I firmly believe that it's time to change that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that entrepreneurship is how we're going to close the wage gap and is really going to allow us as women to have equal economic footing
Mm-hmm.
in the world. So
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about helping women make more money.
Mm-hmm.
There's some in some of our circles on the internet, there are some people that say that, capitalism is wrong and making money in business is wrong. And I say it's not wrong. It's
Yeah.
just maybe been done by the wrong people up until
Right.
now. What
Right.
happens when heart-centered entrepreneurs make a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
We do great things with it. We
Yeah.
reinvest
Yeah.
it back in our communities. There are
Right.
great things that happen. And so, I don't encourage women to make money simply for the sake of making money, but imagine the kind of impact we can have when we're not struggling to meet our basic needs, when
Right.
we're not figuring out, how we're going to pay the grocery bill or the electric bill next month, or how we're going to get our kids to college. Like, when those things are taken care of, we then get to go do amazing, big, impactful things in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that, because, it is definitely there's a lot of programming around making money, a lot of things that come up in our head about making money. And especially I think for women, and the history of, like you said, we kind of haven't necessarily been the main breadwinner or anything like that. And I think there's some weird things that come up around that as well. And it's hard when we are blocking some of that energy, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
well,
yeah.
and that kind of leads me into, you kicked off this saying like, let's activate our most profitable year. And
Mhm.
one of the things that is like a key step that honestly, this is the step that I see most entrepreneurs missing is that subconscious reprogramming.
Mhm.
Because if we're out there trying to make money, trying to do big things, trying to make sales with this programming that's saying, oh, I don't sell, or
Mhm.
oh, making money is evil, or
Mhm.
oh, I'm not capable of this, or
Right.
whatever that programming is, which honestly for most of us was programmed into us before the age of 7.
Yeah.
So like 3 decades worth of programming hanging out, right? Like operating my every
I've got
move,
I've
my
got a few
feelings.
extra decades in there.
Like we're literally getting up every day
Yeah.
having to fight against
Right.
ourselves because we were taught something when we were a child.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I really advocate for and that I do within my practice is hypnotherapy. Because
Mm.
if we're not actively changing that subconscious programming, we cannot succeed in doing the things that we want. I
Mhm.
liken it to, we update our operating systems all the time. I just updated my iOS on my computer this week. If we're not updating our operating systems to be
Mhm.
aligned, my guess would be that no one watching this has the same goals today that they had when they were 7. Is that
Mhm.
pretty accurate
I would
guess?
think so. I think I think I wanted to be a veterinarian, which would be like a terrible job for me, but
Right, right. So if we are operating with the paradigm of what we wanted when we were 7, imagine how hard it is to wake up every single day and try to achieve things that go against our operating system.
Mhm.
If you don't
Mhm.
have an app installed on your phone, you can't open it. If you don't have your operating system programmed to what you're aiming towards, you can't open it.
Right.
So I love using hypnotherapy with my clients to say, like, okay, let's get your vision for your profitable year. What does it look like? What does it feel like? All of the details of that vision. Then let's go into your operating system and figure out what is stopping you from doing that. Is there a programming? Is there, a virus, an app, something in there that's like preventing you from reaching that vision? And then let's talk about your strategy, because
Yeah.
no amount of strategy can overcome a faulty operating system.
Mhm.
And then let's execute, right? So I think a lot of people get into this idea of like, okay, I'm going to set my goals and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get them. And then
Yeah.
they wake up every day and it's like, oh, but let me just scroll Instagram, or oh, like I don't know what actions to take, so I'm just going to sit here and like plan, or we
Yeah.
like get in these loops. And so I'm like, let's shortcut all of that. Let's pause on the strategy. Let's start with the inner stuff. And then when you go to execute the strategy, one, not only is the strategy going to be more aligned, but it's going to be easier for you to do because you're operating from a system that's aligned with that strategy.
Right. That is that's such great way to approach it, because, if you're it's going to be a struggle if you don't have that inner belief. And that is one thing that was amazing for me coming up, that came up for me when I became an entrepreneur. I had no idea how much mindset and how much my mental programming, like you said, comes into play with all of this. And it's weird because you can just be having all the effort you want and going nowhere if your brain is blocking you. So
Well,
that's
and
interesting.
then what's even more interesting, and I'm the same way. So my first 7 years, like you said, were a complete struggle. For the first
Mhm.
7 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I owned my own fashion label. And so I just dove into fashion thinking like, oh, I'll just make beautiful things and like everyone will love me. Everyone tells me how talented I am. Lived in
Yeah.
Italy for 2 years studying. I've dressed Tony Braxton, right? Like, all sorts of things, and really, truly struggled. And it wasn't until I decided to walk away from that business and start diving into what does it actually take to be an entrepreneur, because you can be the best person, like the best of the best of the best of the best in your industry, and still struggle in your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So same way where I had to really get into the mindset piece. And
Right.
then I started learning about the subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
which we don't even really have access to on a daily
Yeah.
basis. And it's 90%. It's
Wow.
90% of what we're operating off of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got certified in hypnotherapy in 2017 because I was like, if I can't access my client's subconscious, or if we can't get in there and shift what's going on behind the scenes, we can't make progress.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that here. Phyllis is saying, is she talking about me?
No, Phyllis. No,
Hey,
I'm not.
Phyllis.
Well, yes, maybe.
All of us. She's talking about all of
I'm
us.
talking about myself too, believe
I
me.
know, right? I know. So I want to unpack a little bit of about the hypnotherapy and kind of talk about what that entails, because that seems like kind of a scary thing. Like, are you in some trance? What are some of the steps that are involved with hypnotherapy, and what is something easy we can do to kind of approach, get into that and get to our subconscious?
Yeah. So so I started getting hypnotherapy. And what I thought was interesting was you think that you're out of control, right? You think that someone else has control of you. There's all these, like
Hmm.
you said,
Hmm.
misunderstandings, ideas, whatever. The first time that I did it, I came out and I was like, I don't think I did it right. And she was like, well, why not? And I was like, well, it just felt like meditation to me.
Mm.
I was like, my hands felt huge, but it just felt like meditation. And she was like, no, you were in hypnotherapy. What hypnotherapy truly is it's simply accessing this different part of your brain. And so it's, there's different stages of brain waves.
Hmm.
And in meditation, you're getting down to like the first or the second level. In hypnotherapy, you're going all the way to the base
Hmm.
level. And it just helps you get deeper. And there's
Right.
just certain, in the scripting that I do, there's just certain wording. There's ways to prove to your mind that you are suggestible. There's all sorts of different things that go into it.
Hmm.
But truly, it's honestly no different than meditation.
Hmm.
And I will say, if you're working with a good hypnotherapy provider, what I do is I actually go to my clients first and say, what do you want? So the reprogramming, that new operating upgrade that I'm putting in, isn't me. It's
Hmm.
them. They've
Right.
given me the words. They've given me the vision. They've given me the feeling. They've told me exactly what they want. And so that's what I put in the scripting to help their brain latch on to their words, their visions as their reality. And really, honestly, it's just about essentially playing like a movie in your mind on a subconscious level over and over again. I have my clients listen to it for 30 days
Hmm.
to just really cement, because our brains learn through repetition over and over and over again, that vision is your reality, and that you're
Hmm.
possible, it's possible, you're capable of that, etc.
Right.
So, I record custom hypnoses for my clients, and then I do, like, for my group programs, I will do like a general one for my groups.
Hmm.
Um, Other than working with a specific provider, I don't have any, like, I would hate to tell someone, like, go to YouTube, because
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know what's out there.
Right. Exactly. You want to work with someone you trust, someone who is, yeah, who is good, I'm sure. Um, but I like that idea though, because it's, really like, to go back to the operating system, we're getting down to the ones and zeros, right? Here, we're getting down to the super basic level. And I like that. I also like that repetition. I definitely, because it can be the voice in your head that's repeating every day, oh, this is never going to work, or, oh my gosh, who am I to do this? Or, whatever, I can't charge this much, or whatever that little voice that pops up that sometimes we don't even realize is there, or, whispering in our ear saying some of this. So,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, one of the things you've got a big workshop coming up, which I'm excited about. One of the things you kind of are talking about in that workshop is people procrastinating and going from, procrastination to actual action. And what are some of the reasons that people procrastinate that you see in your clients?
So a few things. One, I actually see, especially with women, there's so much talk about the fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
I actually see more of a fear of success with my clients.
Mm.
And so if you are holding on to, whether it's a fear of failure or fear of success, no matter how many times you try to get up every day and take action towards that vision, if your operating system is fear, you're going to stop yourself from taking that action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always say procrastination is a symptom, but it's not the problem. So a lot of people think like, oh, I just need to get over my procrastination. And I'm like, no, let's go one step deeper. What's causing the procrastination? Mm-hmm. So fear of success is a big one I see, especially women, talking about out earning their significant other, out earning their parents. That's a huge one that I see in women. Just surpassing the people in their lives. Like there's a lot of fears around that, being judged by family members or friends, losing friend groups, things like that. The other things I see in terms of procrastination are, I'm trying to think of some other good examples. I really think that fear of success, honestly, when I dive deep with women, is the prevailing thing.
Yeah. How can people recognize if they have a fear of success? Because I think a lot of people say, oh, no, I don't have a fear of success. How do they recognize that in themselves?
Well, the first step is if you procrastinate a lot, I mean, that's a really good symptom, right? If you are sick, you sneeze, right? If you have a fear of success, you procrastinate, right? So if you're looking for some of those symptoms, if you're a huge planner and you plan and plan and plan and plan and plan, and then you never take action, and then you sit down and you plan some more and never take action, that's a really good symptom that there's some sort of underlying thing going on. I see it a lot, women that know the next step that they need to take and know that they need to take it, but then fail or not even fail to take it. They stop showing up for themselves. I have women all the time who are like, oh my gosh, yes, I need this. I'm in. I just had one last week. And she told me, she said, I'm probably going to ghost you. And she did. And she said, she's like, and then I'm going to feel really bad for letting you down. And I looked at her and I said, let's talk about who you're actually letting down.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like you're letting yourself down by not showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
So lots of patterns and things. Of course, everyone has different patterns. We all have our own sets of patterns. One of my patterns is to nap when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I do like a good nap. I will say I like to nap. I have, I actually love my procrastination technique. It's cleaning the house. So I totally, it's such a weird thing, but it feels like I think what it does for me is it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing
Productive,
something
yeah.
without doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And so I know that when my house is so clean, it's like, what am I avoiding?
Mine is the dishes. If I'm doing the dishes, I know that there's something I don't want to be doing in my business. Another big one that a lot of people have defaulted towards, especially after the pandemic, is scrolling on social media.
Right.
It's easier to just check out and look at what everyone else is doing.
Right.
And then, shame yourself for not showing up in your business.
Yep.
And it is a vicious cycle.
Right.
Netflixing, like all of those things, any of those checkout modalities
Yeah.
or things that, like you said, make you feel productive, but aren't
Hmm.
actually related to
Right.
that vision that
Yeah.
you have.
Now, how do people get through that fear of success? How do you break through it?
You have to start normalizing it within your brain. And again, like rewriting those patterns of thought that you are consistently reinforcing. So, one of my favorite things to do is amassing proof. In fact, I have a proof folder on my laptop, I have a proof folder on my cell phone, and I have a page in my monthly planner where I like jot down proof that the stories I'm telling myself or the things I'm latching onto are actually false, and that I have legitimate, tangible proof that a different reality is actually happening. And so
Mm.
I write down every day, like a little something. If I get a text message from a client, I screenshot it and put it in my proof folder. If I get, I just did a hypnosis with a client, and 4 days later, she signed a client of her own. And like that, I was like, proof, it's working. Like it's
Mhm.
working. So
Yeah.
I'm always amassing tangible evidence
Yep.
that these imaginary stories that I've written about this, that, and the other thing are actually not real, because I have evidence
Yeah.
in the real world that there's a different reality happening for me.
Yeah, I love that because I think we tend to gravitate towards the one negative thing that happened and make that into a huge, much bigger problem than it might be versus looking at all the positive things. So when I speak, we'll get back the reviews or get back the feedback or whatever it is, and I'll have, 10, 15 positive things. And I see the one guy who's like, no, I didn't like that at all, and I'm like, oh, and you dwell on that. Right. And so I like that you just focus on all the positive things, and it helps. And it's great for social proof as well, because as you're gathering that, and I see that on your website, you've got all the, accolades from clients, and, that is just really helpful in then growing your business going forward too.
Yeah,
So,
I love my clients so much, and I have a satisfaction guarantee with every single client, because my goal is for them, every single woman I work with, to reach the vision that they've set for themselves.
mhm.
And so I love when my clients succeed. I love
Mhm.
when they reach new heights. Like that's what gets, like we talked about, that 88% statistic, like
Mhm.
getting those confirmations from my clients that they're doing great things is what keeps me getting up every day. And so if I'm having a bad day, I go to my testimonials page, and
Yeah.
not only do I have many, 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 many in writing, I also have videos there of
Yeah.
there's videos on there of women crying about
Yeah.
the impact that they had working with me. And it's a really important thing, because our brains can play such tricks on
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah.
still, 15 years into business, 15 years in, my brain still does the same things.
That is a frustrating thing, frustrating and important to recognize too, because I kind of thought I'm, essentially 13, 14 years into this business. I had some other little side gigs before this. And I thought, once you hit a certain point, your brain's going to be like, no, we got this. You're great. But it still comes up. Doesn't matter what. And it especially comes up, I think, when you hit a new threshold, when you hit a
Yep.
new level, all of a sudden your brain's like, whoa, whoa, that we can't do that,
Well, and I think I say to people all the time that, like, if you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix and eating bonbons, your brain's probably not saying anything to you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're not doing something that matters. So
Yeah.
if you are an ambitious woman, which I know both of us are, and probably the women listening, I know all of my clients are as well, when you go to do something new or take a new step, all of those same patterns are probably going to pop up again. You're
Right.
going to have to address them again. I did my
Yeah.
TED Talk in November, and procrastinated like crazy leading up to it. The day of my TED Talk, I hadn't yet fully memorized the entire script yet. Like,
I saw your podcast about that leading up to it. Yeah, whatever. That's amazing. I know how it goes. And I think sometimes we need that pressure to, move us through and set, just commit to something. I know I start announcing things way before I'm ready. So I hit the dates. So tell me a little bit about how people can shift from that wages to profits. What does that shift look like for people and entrepreneurs?
This is exactly what my TED Talk was about. And I will say it's not out yet, but I will be letting people know when it is.
Yeah.
Anxiously waiting over here, believe me. The first step I talk about in there is really the fact that we as women have to begin deconstructing these myths that we've been told. All these things that we talked about at the beginning of this, women are not the primary bread earners. Women use business as a hobby. Like all of these tropes, these stereotypes, these expectations, these ideas that we're fed, part of the reason they are perpetuated is because we believe them. Like we have to stop believing them, and we have to again start proving to ourselves that that's not our reality. So, that's the first thing. And the last thing I mentioned in the talk was looking at the data. Women-owned businesses, while the majority of us are under six figures, are incredibly powerful. There was a statistic that came out that said that if all of the US-based women-owned businesses were to get together and form their own country, we would have the 5th highest GDP in the world.
Wow.
We would be above France, Germany, and the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Now, this was put out in 2009, so I get that it's a little outdated. I was not able to find any updated information on this.
Yeah.
But
Can we do that? Let's do that.
I know, right? Please.
Where can we go? Take over Canada? I don't know.
I would love that. But we are incredibly powerful. Women-owned businesses are also great employers. And we need to start looking at our approach to business in a different way and really truly letting go of this idea that in order for us to make money, we have to have someone else that employs us and gives us a wage, because it simply is not true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, man, I could just talk about this all day. It's so fascinating, but I know we're coming to the end of our time here, and I want to give you a chance to talk about your upcoming program, tell people where they can get signed up for that, and love to kind of, I can't wait to dive into that myself too.
Yeah, so I'm running a workshop. It's happening twice next week and once the week after that. All of them are on the same page. You can visit briseeley.com/Andrea. I know, right? Super easy. To get registered. We're going to be going over the steps you need to take to activate your most profitable year, including some more details on hypnosis, how to identify your vision, how to take action and put together not only your year plan, but also how is the action you're taking today directly leading to the actualization of that year vision. So we're going to be talking about the inner stuff and the outer stuff, how to combine them both and make this year literally the most profitable one you've ever had.
That's awesome. Yep. And I think that is the key, is people don't realize how important the inner stuff is. And so I so appreciate that you are shining a light on that. And I think that I just hope everyone goes and gets in on that training. And thank you so much for being here. And I'm looking forward to connecting with your audience too coming up. We're going to be talking about Facebook ads, all that stuff. And so you can get your inner game worked out and then start, promoting your business with, right?
Yep.
So
love
awesome.
It. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you, Bri. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Phyllis, for commenting. And we'll see you guys all later.